Hello everyone. In this video, I will show you how you can play Flight Simulator 2020 in the cloud. If you are a fan of Flight Simulator, like me, but you don't have a gaming computer, like I don't have right now, this video is for you. So in the end of this video, you will be able to play Flight Simulator in a public cloud service. So let's start a bit with some context. So probably you already know, but normal games or regular games mainly use the power of your graphical card, so what we call the GPU. But Flight Simulator, like any simulator, it is not only GPU demanding, but also CPU demanding, which means that if you have a computer that is quite good in terms of GPU, but it's not having a good CPU, most probably you will not be able to play Flight Simulator at a decent graphic settings. So that's it. So if you don't have a decent gaming computer, you will not be able to play it. So the options you have are essentially two. So you can buy a high-end gaming computer, or these days we can make use of the cloud services to play. And this is what we are going to see on this video. So probably you already heard about games in the cloud, but if not, I will explain you very briefly. So playing in the cloud means that, or we are assuming that we don't have a gaming computer, but at least you have a basic computer with you. It's a laptop or an old computer that will not be able to play games, but at least it can watch videos. So if you can play videos of YouTube or you watch Netflix movies on it, it will work. Then what we will do with the cloud gaming is like this. You install the games in a powerful computer that is located in the cloud. So this is what we have on the right side. Here we have a powerful computer or a gaming computer. It is not physical with you, but it is running on the cloud, so somewhere in the internet or accessible from the internet. And then you use your, let's call it basic computer on the left side, and you will use that computer to connect to the gaming computer on the cloud. So the gaming computer on the cloud will receive the input from your keyboard, from the mouse, from the controller. The cloud gaming computer in the cloud will be running the game itself, and the output of the game will be streamed over to your computer. So this is a loop. So you send inputs to the gaming computer in the cloud. The gaming computer is playing the game, and the output, the video output of the game is streamed back to your computer. So the concept is very simple. Now, about cloud service games that you have today, you have essentially two types of cloud gaming services. You have cloud gaming services where the games are pre-installed. Examples are these two ones that I have here, so Blacknut and Vortex. I'm not affiliated with any of these services. I'm just mentioning them because I use them. Mainly Blacknut. It's for me, it's very interesting. So you just create an account with this company. You install an application on your home computer. Let's call it like this, the basic computer I told you before. And then you just select the game you want and you play it. So the games are pre-installed. You don't need to install anything. You just select, click, and play. Vortex is pretty much the same. Another type of cloud gaming services that you have are services that provide you a gaming computer itself. So the games are not pre-installed, so you get like a Windows 10 computer, and then you install the games that you want over there. So essentially you have these two types of cloud gaming services. In the first one, Flight Simulator is not available. So if you want to play Flight Simulator, although these services are good, it will not work for you. Now, on the second type, the ones that you get a computer to install the games, I already tried, at least with these two ones, so Paper Space on the left side and Shadow on the right side. And what I experienced is that in terms of GPU, it's fine, but again, in terms of CPU, it's not enough. So the game, it's not playing at a decent frames per second. So playing a flight sim at 10 frames per second for me doesn't work. If for you works, fine, but for me, it doesn't work. It's really slow. So if you try to land a plane with 10 frames per second, it will not work. So, although these services are great for other games, for Flight Simulator, it's not an option. So, we need to find another solution. Since I am a fan of Flight Sim, and I was not happy with the cloud services games because, as I said before, it simply don't work. So 10 frames per second or lower, it's not an option for me. So I had to find another solution. And one solution that I found is using AWS, so Amazon Web Services, to set up a gaming computer in the cloud to be able to play Flight Simulator. So again, the concept is the same. So we have our basic computer at home. So it's not able to play Flight Simulator, but it's able to receive video stream. And this is what we need for our cloud gaming solution. So I can set up in AWS a gaming computer. I just need to install some applications over there, plus Flight Simulator, of course, and I can finally play Flight Simulator at a decent frames per second, no stacks, and a smooth video output, which gives me a very interesting sensation of flying. And this is the solution that I would like to show you how you can get it, because it's not rock science. It's something that you can easily do, especially if you are on the IT world. It will be very easy. If you are not, I will give you all the steps, and I'm pretty sure that you will be able to set up the very same gaming computer on the cloud like I did for myself. For this gaming computer, we will use essentially two applications. One is called Parsec. So Parsec is a company that develops an application for gaming, specifically for this cloud gaming. Not only you can use Parsec for other applications, but Parsec was dedicated to the gaming, and they created this application that essentially does two things. First, it collects our inputs from our basic computer, so keyboard, mouse, and controllers, and then captures the video output of the gaming computer and stream it back to your basic computer at home. The application is the same, so we will need to have Parsec running on the basic computer and Parsec running on the gaming computer. It will be very easy to set up. All the parameters and settings are by default working perfectly fine. And the second thing that we need on our gaming computer is another application from another company called VB Cable, and it is needed to transport the audio of the game. So we need, let's say, Parsec for the video part and inputs, and we need the VB cable for the audio. Again, I don't have any affiliation with these companies, with these products. I'm just mentioning them because I'm using them in my solution. So, and I will use it in this video, but I'm not affiliated with any of the brands. I'm just using them. Okay, so what we need for this setup of the cloud gaming to play Flight Simulator. So we need, with as the basic computer. So we need to have a broadband internet access with a decent bitrate. So I put here greater than 30 megabits per second. That should be fine. And you should have the basic computer connected by cable, not Wi-Fi, to have a good experience, because anything else that you use on Wi-Fi might interrupt your video stream, which means that the game will stop, and you don't want this. Then we will need an AWS account. It's free, so you can create a free AWS account if you don't have one. Of course, we will pay as we go. So the services that we will use on AWS, we need to pay for it, but the account is free. And for the Parsec, the same. We need a Parsec account. It will be free, and we can use the application for free as well in this solution. And of course, you need to buy Flight Simulator 2020. That is obvious. So let's start with it. So I will pause here the slides and I go hands-on to AWS. We will start with AWS. So I already have AWS here open, but you just need to go to aws.amazon.com. If you don't have an account, you just click on create an AWS account. So you follow all the steps. I will not do it. You just need to follow it. I'm already logging, so I'm in the console of AWS. So in this page, I just have access to all the services that are provided by AWS. So what we need is to create our gaming computer. So in AWS, to get a computer, what we do is we click on the EC2 service, which means Elastic Computing. And here we have access to our computers. So to create our gaming computer, we will click here on instances. I already have one, which is the one I use, but I will create one from scratch so you can watch it and replicate yourself. So I will click here on this orange button that says launch an instance. And the first thing that I have to select is an image. So an image is an operating system file which will be installed on our computer, on our remote computer or cloud computer. In this case, we could select a normal Windows 10 installation, and then we can put everything on top. But to make it easier, I will search for an image that is already provided by NVIDIA that has Windows 10 installed plus all the drivers for the graphical card, which will save us a lot of time. So I just search for NVIDIA, then I click here on AWS Marketplace, because this image is not from AWS but is provided by NVIDIA. And I will choose this first result that says NVIDIA Gaming PC, Windows Server 2019. So I will select, because I want to create the gaming computer in the cloud with this image. So again, it comes with Windows 10 plus the NVIDIA drivers already installed. So you get presented with this screen. It tells me that it costs 0 to use this image, and then I need to pay for the computer. So each hour that I use the computer, I will pay a certain amount for that time. So I will click here, continue. Most probably, if this is the first time that you are using this image, you will get a pop-up asking if you really want to use this image, and this image will now belong to the list of images that you have. So just click yes for the first time. It's like a subscription of this image. You will not pay anything for it. You just need to click yes, I accept, and that's all. So image is selected, and now we need to select what is the type of computer that we want. So we want a computer in the cloud that has a graphical card, because without a graphical card we will not be able to play the games. So here we will filter by the instance or the type of instance. Instance here is the same as the computer. So I will filter for the ones that have the graphical card. And those ones are these that says G4DN. So we will click on this G4DN and it will show us all the instances that we can create of this type. So the cheapest one is this first one. So it's called G4DN Extra Large. It has 4 vCPUs. My experience tells me that 4 is not enough, but if we go for the one with 8, it will work fine. So let's select the G4DN 2 extra large. So 8 vCPUs and 32 gigabytes of memory. This is fine. So let's click on configure instance details. On this screen, just keep the default values. No need to change anything here. So just click add storage. And now we need to say how much space we need for this computer. So by default is 30 gigabytes. This is fine just for the operating system, which is Windows 10. But to install Flight Simulator, we need a bit more. I will set up this disk with 200 gigabytes. So this will be enough to install the disk, to install Flight Simulator, and also still have some free space for caching or for other games if you want. So the other parameters are fine. We don't want encryption. This type of disks is fine for us. So we click add tags. We don't want to add tags. This is not useful for our case. And now let's configure a security group. So security group, basically, it's the firewall for these computers. So we don't want everyone to access, so we don't want to expose this computer to the internet. So what we are going to do here is just creating some security rules to access this computer later on. So I have already some security groups configured, but I will do it from scratch so you can know exactly what we are doing. So we select create a new security group. We can keep this name. This is fine. Now I will select here on this side all ICMP IPv4. This is not absolutely needed, but it will be good to see if the machine is up or not. And then I will also add another services that is called RDP. So RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol, and this is the first thing that we will use to connect to our gaming computer in the cloud. So I selected all ICMP and RDP. So now I can click on review and launch. So AWS is just telling you all the details that we just configured. So we are going to use the NVIDIA gaming PC image. We are going to set up a G4DN2 extra large instance. We have the security groups, and of course we should have the storage with 200 gigabytes. So we are ready. And now I'm going to click on launch. Okay, now AWS is asking me about the security for accessing the server, the gaming computer. So What I'm going to do is to create a new key pair. So this will basically will tell you the password to access the gaming computer. So I will just give it a name. So key pair gaming should be fine. And now I will download the key pair. I will save it on my computer. Desktop is fine. And now I say launch instance. So it will take around 5 to 10 minutes to have the instance up and running. So what I'm going to do is to just pause the video, and when everything is fine, I will resume it. Okay, so our cloud gaming server is ready. So you can see already my new instance here. It doesn't have a name, so let's start by giving it a name. So I click here to edit. Let's call it gaming 3. Why not? Save, and we can see that it's already running and the checks have been passed. So next thing is to connect to our gaming computer in the cloud, and we will get our Windows ready with the NVIDIA drivers also ready. For that, we will use a very well-known software that I also mentioned it before, which is the remote desktop. So just go to your basic computer. So now you are on the local computer. You just do remote desktop, click on it, and it appeared on another screen, but here it is. And we will need first the address in the internet of this computer. So let's go back to our AWS console. Let's click on this button to see the properties of this instance. And here under the public DNS, you have the address of the gaming computer on the internet. So let's click on this icon to copy it to the clipboard. Let's go back to the remote desktop. We put here the address and let's do connect. You can say yes to the security, so connect. Now it will ask you the password. So the first time that the machine is created, it's created with a very long and secure password. How do you know that? If you click here on the connect button after selecting the instance, you click connect, then you go to the RDP client, so the remote desktop protocol client, and you click here where it says get password. And to get the password, we need the key pair file that we created before launching the instance. It's the file that I saved before. So what I do is I do browse and I will look for this KP gaming file created before. So the other way of clicking on browsing, you can also paste here the contents of the file. So I already prepared the file here. So I just open in a text editor. So the only thing that you need to do is to select everything, copy, and go back to the AWS page. We paste it here. Don't worry, this is just needed for the first time because we will change the password, the default password. So we paste and we do decrypt password. And if you see here, we have the long and secure password. Again, we click on this button to copy it to the clipboard. We go back to the remote desktop that is asking for the password. You paste the password and you click OK. Again, another security prompt, just say yes. And here we are, connected to our cloud gaming computer just created. So you just get the Windows 10 operating system, and now what we need to do is three things essentially. We will change the default password. We will install the Parsec application that I told you before. So it will be the application that will gather the inputs from our local computer and send to the cloud computer. So the keyboard, the mouse, the controller, and so on. And also is the application that will capture the video of the game and stream back to our local computer. And the third thing is the audio. So we need to take care about the audio. If we don't install anything, we will not have audio on our games. So we will need to install a virtual device on this cloud computer to be able to capture the audio and stream it back to our local computer. So let's start by changing the default password. It will be very useful if you don't have to go this process all the times. So just click on the magnifying glass of Windows and search for computer management. Here it is. Click on it, then go to local users and groups, then click on users, and here we have our administrator user. It will be fine if you just use administrator for this. If you are just creating this cloud gaming computer just for gaming, I don't see a need for you to create individual users. So I will use the administrator account for everything. So just click on it and do set password. Just say proceed. And here I will just type a more easy to remember password. I will retype it. And if I pass the security constraints, it should be okay. The password has been set, so we don't need any more that long and secure and hard to remember password. Just say okay. We can close the computer management. So first step is done. Second step, let's go to Parsec. So this image is also coming with the Chrome and Firefox pre-installed, which is great. I will use Firefox. First time, it will take some time, but it's normal. Here it is. So let's go to, let's go directly to Parsec. So parsec.app. And I invite you to read if you are curious how it works and what you can do beside games. It's not just games. I will go straight here to download. Windows is already selected, so download for Windows 64 bits. So on our AWS computer, we have 64 bits. So let's click here and download. Completed, and let's go straight to the installation. So click on it. Okay, and Parsec application is installed. At this stage, if you don't have a Parsec account, you will need to create. I already have one, so I will log in to have access to the technical part of the application. Okay, so I just logged in. to my Parsec account, and what you are seeing now is the computers that are inside my account. So I just see one, and this is the cloud gaming computer. So this is the name of the cloud gaming computer on AWS. So for the moment, this is fine. There is almost nothing that you need to configure on this application on the cloud side. But anyway, I'll just review the settings. So I will click here on the gear, and I will click on the host, because this application, the Parsec application on the cloud gaming computer, will work as a host. So we will capture the video here and stream out from this computer. So it's host mode. We will see later that the second Parsec application that I will install on my local computer, the basic computer, it will work as a client application. So this one is the host one. So the parameters are pretty fine. So the resolution, it's fine. Bandwidth, okay, the bandwidth we can change later, but this should be fine for our flight simulator. And yes, so all looks good. So Parsec is installed, so I will just minimize the application. And the third and last step that we need is to take care about audio. So on audio, let's go to another address, so the VB cable application. So if you put on Google, you go directly there. I will just put here directly the address, which is this one, VB audio. And you will land on this page. Again, I'm not affiliated with any of the products and services that I mentioned in this video. I'm just mentioning them because they make part of this solution to play Flight Simulator 2020 on the cloud, in this case AWS, because there are other public clouds. So I will just click on download, so the download for Windows. And I will save the file as before. And let's install this application too. So this application basically will create a virtual audio device on our cloud gaming computer to be able to capture the audio of the games. So I will extract all the files, because this is a zip file. So yes, extract all the files. All the files are extracted. So I will click here on the VB cable setup X64. Yes, I'm ready. So install driver. Just say install. Installation complete. You might reboot your system to finalize, and this is what we are going to do. So just to recap, the 3 steps: change the password, just to be easy, install Parsec application, the video part, and install the audio from VB audio software. Okay, so I'm going to reboot the machine, the cloud gaming computer. I will pause the video when everything is ready, I will resume it. Okay, so I'm back. Our cloud gaming computer is rebooted or restarted, and let's continue. So we are still connected to the cloud gaming computer using this remote desktop application. This remote desktop application is quite good. I use it a lot in my daily activities, but unfortunately it is not at all optimized for gaming. So we can see the screen of this remote computer, but if we try to watch a video on YouTube, or if we try to see something that has a lot of images and a lot of changes, it will be very, very inefficient. So remote desktop is not an option to play games, and this is why we will use the Parsec. So right now I'm still connected with the remote desktop application, And the next step will be to switch to the Parsec, which is fully optimized for gaming and video applications. So because this could be a bit confusing, what I'm going to do, since you are watching the screen of the remote computer, I will just make it a window, so it's not full screen. And here on this window, we have the remote computer. So now this Windows bar that you see here in the bottom is my local computer. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I already have the Parsec application installed on my local computer. So I will just look for it and I will click on it and I will run it locally. Okay, it appeared on another screen. I move it here and I will maximize. Now you see that I have two computers seen by the Parsec application. So we have this EC2 computer, which is the remote one, and I have this other one, which is my local computer. So what I want to do is to connect to the remote computer, so the cloud gaming computer. So I will do connect again, just because this is confusing. I'm now on the Parsec running on my local computer, and it will connect to the Parsec that is running on the cloud gaming computer. So I click connect, and if everything is fine, I will be able to see, yes, the remote computer now with the Parsec application. But the remote desktop is still running. So what I'm going to do, since the Parsec is now in full screen mode and I need to access the remote desktop, I will click on this Parsec icon that you see here, and I will switch to window mode. Okay, so it's window mode, as you can see. Now, if I click on the Firefox on the remote, you see that it reacts. If I click on the Chrome on my local Parsec, it will switch also to the Google icon on the remote desktop. So I don't need the remote desktop anymore. So what I'm going to do is to close it. Before closing it, I will just do one step that I forgot before about audio. So I'm again on the remote desktop, and I will right click on this speaker icon and I will click on sounds, and it will tell me, A, the computer cannot play audio because the Windows audio service is not enabled. So just click yes to enable the audio, and you can close this screen, and yes, now we can close the remote desktop. So I will click on the disconnect button of the remote desktop. Yes, I want to disconnect. And we are back to the Parsec application. So let's click again on the icon of Parsec and let's switch back to full screen mode. The first thing that you notice is that the screen is smaller. So as soon as we close the remote desktop, we get this lower resolution. No problem. Let's just right click on the desktop, you click on display settings, and let's set the resolution of our gaming computer to full HD. So full HD means a resolution of, let's go a bit up, of 1920 by 1080. So let's click here. It will ask you if you want to keep the changes. Let's say yes, and for some reason it's not changing. Let's try, yes, of course. Let's go again to display settings, and if we do identify, we will see that our screen is the screen 2. I just changed screen 1. This is why it was not reacting. So let's click on screen 2. Let's set it again to a higher resolution. And I cannot go further than this. I will do like this, and then I will say just show the screen 2, I will say yes again, and if everything is fine, I should see another resolution. No, I can't. Let's try to change it on another menu. Change resolution. And now I can see our target resolution 1920 1080, so full HD. I will say apply, and finally we have our full HD resolution. Good. Okay, so at this moment, to recap, we have our cloud gaming computer setup. We have the streaming application, which is Parsec, ready, and we have also audio. So the final step is, as you can guess, install Flight Simulator 2020. There are two ways to get the Flight Simulator 2020. So you can buy the DVD, or if you buy it online, you can just install your online gaming shop on this computer, download Flight Simulator 2020, and start installing it. I have been purchasing my games in Steam. Again, I have no affiliation with the products and services mentioned on the video. So what I'm going to do is to install the Steam application. I will download the initial files of Flight Simulator 2020, and then I will launch the installation. Since this takes some time, there is no need for you to watch the installation, so I will pause the video and I will resume when I have the Flight Simulator ready for installation, and we continue from there. Okay, so I already installed my Steam application. I already downloaded the initial files for Flight Simulator 2020. And what I'm going to show you now is a bit this installation. So I'm going to click here on Flight Simulator. Now I need some other files to download, and I should see a window of Flight Simulator installation. This will take time, the installation, so you need to be patient. There is almost between 100 gigabytes and 150 gigabytes of data to download, so of course this will take some time. The cloud gaming computer has a very good connection to the internet, so you will be able to download all the files needed for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 much faster than if you do it on your local computer. But even so, the amount of data is significant. So relax, be patient, because it will take time. Okay, so the game is starting. You will see some initial videos, and sooner or later we should get our window to start downloading the modules that are needed for the game. So let's wait a bit. Here I cannot do too much than waiting. Okay, this is another step, so I will just decrease a bit the volume of the game so you can listen to me in a better way. So you will need a Microsoft account to be able to play the game. So I'm going to log in with my account, and I will resume in a few seconds. Okay, so I just logged in to the account. Now we need to wait, checking for updates, and here it is. So Flight Simulator just changed from full screen to window mode, and as you can see here, it will require to download 150 gigabytes. So this will take time. My last installations took between 2 hours and 4 hours, so if you get the same, that's normal. The only thing that you need to do right now is to click on update, drink a coffee, have dinner, have lunch, and that should be enough. So I will do the same. I will just pause the video again, and when this is ready, you will arrive to the main screen of Flight Simulator, and we will continue from there about some settings, resolution, quality of the settings, of the visuals, and we will do our first flight, and you will see how it will behave on this cloud gaming computer. Okay, so Flight Simulator just finished to download all the necessary packages, and we just arrived here to the main menu of the game. Okay, so the first thing that we will do now is just to make sure that the visual settings are what we want. So here on the top, just go to Options, and then go to General. And here on this screen, we have already what we need to set. So just make sure that you have the display mode set to full screen, so it's not window mode. Make sure that the resolution is the same that we set before. So in this case, Full HD, so 1920 by 1080. And then on the global rendering quality, just set it to high hand. So there is one step below the maximum, which is called ultra. Then you have the low end, the medium, and the high end. I don't recommend you at this stage to go to ultra. It will be quite demanding, but high end will work, in my opinion, perfectly to fly over cities and see all the details that Flight Simulator is good on. So just ensure that you have these three settings like these: full screen, full HD, and high hand on the visual settings, and the rest you can just keep by default. Now I'll just do another change, but you don't have to do it. I will go to the developers menu. I will activate developer mode, and I will get this menu on the top. Again, you don't need it. I just enabled it to be able to display the frames per second in the screen, so we can see more or less the load that the game is placing on the server, on the cloud gaming computer. So I will do display frames per second, and we will get this chart on the top right of the screen. It will be always here in front of the rest of the information, and it will show us the actual frames per second. So the important number is this one. Okay, right now it's not easy to see, but it says around 90 frames per second. So I will apply and save the settings. I will go back to the main menu, and let's do our first flight and see how it behaves, our cloud gaming computer. You have several options to fly. What I'm going to do is I will click on the world map, so I will select where I want to fly. And I think that New York will be my choice because it's one of the cities that has a lot of details. So it will put the game to a stress mode. So whatever we can get flying over New York in other places will be for sure better because the cities are not so detailed. So this is why I will choose New York. So let's fly over New York. So I will not explain how to navigate on the game because that's not the purpose of the video, but it will be very easy for you. So I will just locate here Manhattan. So let's for example start our flight over here. So let's set this as the departure. I will use the basic Cessna to fly, and the flight conditions, let's make it live and clear skies. Okay, so I think we are ready to fly. I will click fly. It will take a bit just to load what it needs to load. So I will just put the video in pause and I will resume when I am airborne already. Okay, so here we are flying New York. We are already airborne. I already stabilized the plane so we can have a view. And as you can see, we are getting here on the top around 30 frames per second. So for me, this is a smooth frames per second, and it allows me to do a smooth flight. It's completely different from having 10 frames per second where you see the images just getting stuck and stuck and stuck. So we can go above these, but in this configuration, on a very dense city, these 30 frames per second for me is already quite good for flying. As I said before, if we are in different cities that are less dense or outside the city, of course, these frames per second will increase and will give you a much smoother experience. And yeah, this is it. So we are watching the flight from the exterior. So this is one of the modes of Flight Simulator. Now with my mouse I'm just going around the plane so I can see around the plane. You will see that well, some moments it's not very smooth, but my mouse is also not very smooth. But this gives you a very good experience. Notice the reflections, note the shadows. This is a nice way to fly. For me, this current frames per second is perfectly fine to fly, to land, to depart, and so on, and get most of this game, which is in the end is a simulation. We can also go in drone mode, so we can see in a different perspective. So we are not bound anymore to the airplane. So we can still explore the city, as you can see. But again, this is not a video to teach you how to use Flight Simulator. It's a video to show you how you can play Flight Simulator 2020 on the cloud. If you like Flight Simulator like me and you don't have a gaming PC to play it, this is a solution that works. And I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy like I am enjoying. To finish the video, I would like to talk about two things. First, how you leave the game and how you leave the cloud gaming computer. And let's talk about costs, because you are not investing on a gaming computer, and maybe a gaming computer to fly this game would cost you between 1,500 and 2,000 euros or dollars. I live in Europe, so I work with euros. But of course it has costs. So right now I'm using this cloud gaming computer and I'm paying for each hour that I'm using it. So let's talk about that. So first, I'll just leave the game. So this is not rock science. Let's go to main menu, continue, and then we will do quit to desktop. This is the normal exit of the game. There is nothing special here. So quit to desktop, and we will be back to Windows 10, so our cloud gaming computer. So you just need to make sure you shut down the computer. So just to shut down like in any other computer. In this case, it will ask you what is the reason, just say the reason to shut down is either planned or other unplanned. It will not make any difference. Just do continue. And remember, we are still in the Parsec application, which is the application that allows us to connect to the cloud gaming computer. And Parsec is already saying that, hey, I think the computer where you were connected to just disappeared. It's normal because we just shut down. So the Parsec application running on the cloud computer also stopped. So we can just go to this icon again and we do disconnect. And we just minimize here the Parsec application, and let's just make sure that our gaming computer on AWS really stopped. It says running. Let's just do a refresh, and okay, it just say stopped. This is important because while the machine is running, you are paying for it. When it is stopped, you are not paying for the machine anymore. So in AWS, for the machines that we run, we pay per hour. So 1 hour, one price, 2 hours, the double of the price, and so on. Okay, so our machine is stopped, so we will not enter in more costs for the moment. So we stopped the gaming. We are not paying anymore. So let's go back to the slides and talk about the costs. And these are the very last slides that I have here to present you. So in terms of costs, the Parsec application for what we used, for the features we used, will cost you 0. So you can use Parsec on both sides for 0 euros. The virtual audio device, so our VB audio application, it's also 0 for what we have used. There is a payment for this application, but for other usages. Now, on the AWS side, to keep our cloud gaming computer and to keep the space that it occupies on AWS, for the 200 gigabytes, if you remember, we provisioned 200 gigabytes for this cloud gaming computer to be able to host Flight Simulator, which occupies a significant space. I'm paying around 25 euros or dollars, I just put here dollars, per month just to have this space. And then I pay 15 euros per each 10 hours of usage. So normally I play around 20 hours per month. So if you do the calculations, this will give you around 55 euros per month. So this is something that you decide if works for you or not. For me, works. I prefer to pay as I go. So I pay normally around 50 euros per month instead of having an investment of 200 euros just to get a gaming computer, which for me, I don't see a value for me. Okay, so I prefer to pay as I go, and this is more or less the cost that you will have if you play the very same amount of hours. So this is it. I hope that you have enjoyed. If you have doubts or comments, just leave those doubts or comments here on YouTube. Click like, or if you don't like, click you don't like, but if you click that you don't like, tell me why, and that will help me on the next videos to improve or to include more content or to change. If you like it, just click on like. I hope you have enjoyed and have fun playing Flight Simulator. See you next time.